Ladies and gentlemen, today marks day one for Collingwood's preseason and their quest into 2026. It's time to talk all things black and white. Ladies and gentlemen, this video is proudly sponsored by TSNL Neon, Melbourne's trusted signage specialist for commercial, LED and neon signage. For more information, please visit tslsigns.com. The link is in the description. Family owned, family operated, and service all of Victoria. I was doing that spiel and there was mango bits in my teeth and it sounded like I had a stroke for a second. Anyways, preseason day one, guys. We are finally here. We can set our sights on 2026. It's the next step in this phase to cast our minds forward. And there were some pleasant visuals. Obviously, I wasn't at training, guys, and I'm not going to be heading to training for a number of reasons over the course of the next 12 months. One, work. Obviously, even if I'm working from home, it still eats into a lot of my day. And as long as this isn't a full-time endeavor, it's just not possible. It's not full-time right now, so it's just not possible. Two, I've grown to become uncomfortable to record entire sessions. And that's just me personally. I don't have anything against, Jan or Swoop for that matter. And it ties into my next one. Swoop's there 3-4 days a week. So you guys will get that visual content if you want that either way over at Swoop's channel. So that's just me where I sit with all of this, okay? But we do have some reports from Jen and Swoop on Insta as well. And one of them being Jordan De Goey is present on day one for preseason. What does that mean? Why is that important? I think first and foremost, that tells me he's walking in unscathed and wants to get ahead and make up for the injuries that he's had to endure over the last couple of seasons. So I think that's a great sign. The fact that he's going in and he's got no niggles to worry about and just hit the ground running and be ahead. So it's the first or fourth years, right? So it's not actually a requirement for Geordie to be present. Along with the likes of DC and Braz, which is stock standard when we weigh that up against like their standard, like that's just them personified, isn't it, right? But the next one is Jeremy Howe at 36 years of age is at the preseason. And if you look at our list, do you think who out of all the players on the list, who are some players you think need to be at day one of preseason with the first to fourth years? I think it's Jeremy Howe. Just given once again, the poor injury run he had this year, the concussions, the groin, I think he's got to leave no stone unturned in this preseason to ensure that he gives himself the best opportunity to propel himself into 2026 and ensure that he doesn't fall victim to these injuries, and it doesn't want that to be an excuse. And that's how you get the ball rolling. It gives him every chance to prove, hey, my game in that prelim was underwhelming, and I want to prove that it was due to the fact that I was hampered and it's not something to do with my age. And time will tell. So he's put his best foot forward, which is important. For those who are wondering, the draftees were all present at the day one of preseason, and then we had the yo-yo test. Of those who were present, Rowan Steele finishes number one with a score of 22, and whatever that means, don't ask me. It's the beep test equivalent. And then Ed Allan in second place. And just to tick off the first thing on Collingwood's preseason training the house down bingo card, it's Ed Allan looking jacked. I mean, maybe if I move this over a bit, hold on. If I do that and I go full screen, is that going to give me much? I'll move this for a moment. Look at this dude. I genuinely thought that on the left there was Ilaru Smith. I shit you not. He's always been a good runner, and it does certainly look like he's put on at least a couple of kilos. I think in the off season it's possible to put on a couple of kilos, and it's potentially a really aggressive a really aggressive increase in weight or a bulk, we'll call it. So if we're looking at September season finishes, you have all of October, you have most of November, that's 8 weeks. Let's say 9 weeks, okay? The upper limit, I would say, would be 0.5 to 0.7 of a kilo. You're probably saying there's every chance that he could have put on 3-4 kilos in this offseason to tie into whatever game plan or game style he'd like to lean into, because the next year is a massive year. A 2022 draftee. So this will be, he did 23, he did 24, he did 25. This will be his 4th year in the system. So this is a massive, all right, you'd like to think that everything he's doing is extremely meticulous and intentional. And one of that could be an aggressive bulk, so to speak. So keep an eye on that. Does that allow him to become more of an inside midfielder is sort of what I'm alluding to, because as good as his running is, and he's finished second, so he's still maintained that to some level, I think there is an intention that he does play this more inside mid role, which is where we want to see Allan at his best. I just don't think the wing position is his best position, at least for now. Anything else I want to add? Charlie West signs a 2-year contract extension, so already contracted up until the end of this year. That takes him to the end of 2028. And it's another massive year in a different way for Charlie West. I think the doors are opening for him, and there will be an opportunity where if he plays good footy, there's no reason why he can't play 10 to 15 games of senior AFL footy. But there is competition there. And some of these players can play at the same time, but we're looking at the mixture of Charlie West, Noah Howes, depending on whether he plays forward or defense, Jack Buller, you got Membry, you got McStay, who was also there but doing some rehab for preseason. And then you throw in, are we going to play relatively tall? Are we going to play relatively small? How does Oscar Steen, does he feature in this mix-up with DC, and does that occupy a forward spot when they're rotating? So a lot of considerations to make things possible where Charlie West thrives as an AFL footballer next year. But I'm still not hell-bent on needing him to be the guy next year. As much as important as that is, it wouldn't be a failure if he doesn't play X amount of games next year. I'm more than comfortable with these younger players serving a VFL apprenticeship, but I just think we're setting up the path for him to flourish as an AFL footballer next year. And that's all for today, guys. Day 1 of the preseason, a little report. If you're enjoying these guys, hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. I'll try and provide reports perhaps on a weekly basis, depending how big the sessions are and what comes out of it. So there's that. And yeah, subscribe, because you're not going to want to miss out on daily streams once we hit the other side of January. That's going to be super exciting, and can't wait to chew the fat with you guys as always. And I appreciate you all, ladies and gentlemen. Go Pies.